My name's Maggie Henry, and my life has been destroyed by fracking. That's everything that I have worked my entire adult life to put together, and I apologize too because I should have started this time. I do get emotional over this, as I'm sure everybody would in my circumstances. I'll work through it. One of these days I might be able to get through this and not do this. But in the meantime, I started off when I heard I'd just been awarded an organic equipped high tunnel to do season extension in which a high tunnel is like a greenhouse, plastic greenhouse. And my agent, my NRCS agent, told me that a local farmer was begging for a well. And that was my introduction to fracking in 2006. I have been nonstop fighting it since. I can't believe I'm coming up on the 10-year anniversary of doing this. I filed objections to that well. I filed objections to the power plant. They built Ohio permitted a cryogenics plant, which a cryogenics plant, they freeze the product. Unfortunately, I live in an area that has wet gas as opposed to dry gas, and the wet gas, they can get all sorts of other nasties off it, like toluene, ethane, butane, ethyl butane, and they make plastics out of this stuff, and chemicals, I should say, but it makes it more valuable to frack wet gas than to frack dry gas. So they need this cryogenics plant to do this. This plant is under a mile upwind from my organic farm. And it sits not 30 feet from the Ohio-Pennsylvania border. All of this blows down over my farm and the town of Bessemer, Pennsylvania. The pollution that they individually permitted this plant for, they should have had a major source, but they didn't do it that way. They divided it up into all minor sources and let them do this. It's incredible. The carcinogenic neurotoxins. So there's a lady that lives across the street in a trailer park. We're talking the poorest of poor. 35 years ago, when my husband and I got married, this trailer park was there, and there wasn't one of those trailers that was new, and they haven't pulled any out, and they haven't put any back in, and you can only imagine in 35 years. This woman put in a little orchard, 12 trees. Ever since they fired up that cryogenics plant, she has not gotten one piece of fruit off of anything. They stopped bearing fruit, which in all reality is probably a good thing, because I actually have pictures of the soles of a man's shoes that they're brand new. He walked in his yard a couple of times, Ed Atwood, and it just dissolved, just disintegrated. The soles of his shoes, they're like blown up. And they actually theorized, they did tests and all that on, and they found out it's toluene that is doing that. Now, I say to myself, how could I possibly call my product organic just because I don't use herbicides and pesticides on it, when it in fact is covered with that crap? I have more integrity than that. I can't lie to people like that. My customers came to me because my eggs were at the East End Food Co-op, and they were the only eggs that these didn't cause rashes around these kids' mouths. These kids have food allergies out the wazoo. And the only thing that, and they wondered why other people's organic eggs caused rashes and mine didn't, and I can't tell you why. I can tell you what I do and how I do it, and we don't grow anything GMO, and we don't spray anything, and yada, yada, yada. But in the long run, those are the people that I was serving. I got to know my customers. I got to know their kids. If I was responsible, if something I grew was responsible, that sent a child to the emergency room, I could absolutely not live with myself. So when I tell you that it laid waste to everything I worked my adult life for, what I'm about to tell you now, I don't tell you to brag. I just tell you because I want you to know that I really did have it going on. You know, when I telling you I had it going on is one thing, but providing the background to it is another. In 2008, a Pittsburgh food writer named me one of the 10 best things of the year because she purchased one of my heritage turkeys and cooked it for Thanksgiving. China Millman was her name. I could go on, I could tell you other awards and other things that I got, but I had 5 restaurant accounts, one of them being the Greenlead Hotel in Pittsburgh, Enrico Viscotti, you know, real city icons. And as far, when I say that it laid waste to everything, I can't sell this to those people when it's exposed like that. You know, it just did it. And then I just couldn't deal with it, to tell you the truth. I couldn't figure out any way around it. I did everything that a person can do to try to prevent it, and nothing worked. Nothing stopped. It didn't matter. The industry ran over me like a squirrel running across the road, you know. It just ran right over me and left me, threw me under the bus and left me there. As did the Pennsylvania Department of Education, Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection. Ohio ODNR issued a cease and desist order on Hillcore Energy with those frac quakes, 5-mile radius they weren't allowed to ban. PA Department of Environmental Protection refused to enforce it. So where the state line dissected that radius, they are now still, as we speak, banning fracking. They haven't banned a thing. They are using old wells to shut that stuff underground. They do this next to school districts. There's another organization that I belong to too. It's in Butler, Pennsylvania. It's I can't think of things when I go, but they have been dealing with a school where there's literally a landowner in the field right next to the school. We've had so many protests there trying to stop them from fracking right next to a school. It's a regional school district. There's like 2,600 kids. The only thing that these people have going for them that isn't in my area is they're more affluent. They're more educated. They're trying to stand up and prevent this. But they haven't had a lot of luck either. There's a farmer, well known for a long time. Don Kreichman had the largest organic CSA in the country. And they're putting in a compressor station right next to his 40-acre organic apple orchard. There is no way to control any of this. At least I didn't find it. I've laid down in the road, in front of the road. I've been arrested. I was one of the 8 people arrested at Wolf's inauguration for shouting "ban fracking now." I can't even begin to tell you the things that I've done. If somebody would have told me that I'd be doing this in my 60s, I would have told them they were crazy. But you know what? On top of everything else, when I said they've destroyed my home, they've destroyed my business, they have stolen from me the right to raise my grandchildren on the land that I raised their parents on, that 4 generations before us have raised. 100 years we've paid the taxes on this little piece of paradise. And my grandchildren can't walk in the pasture. My grandchildren, I don't even live there anymore. We live in central Pennsylvania now. I have a mortgage. We have 2 homes on this farm. Neither one of them are inhabitable. I mean, they are, but, you know, who's going to live there in their right mind? There's the farmer adjacent to me leased for a pipeline. You look out the front window of my farmhouse, across the road is a pipeline bigger than the one that just blew up in Salem Township where that guy was burnt. I don't know how much you've heard about it. I feel like I'm just spewing out random facts there right now. But this man, this poor man, 26 years old, he just got married. He had ankle surgery 4 days before this. The explosion in the Salem Township pipeline blew up. He thought it was a tornado. He didn't know he was medicated from the surgery. He was zonked out on the couch. He woke up, thought it was a tornado. Went down in the basement. When the rafters started to smoke, he figured he'd better get out of there. You know what? My first part of my life, I went to nurses training at West Penn in Pittsburgh. And part of that included the burn unit. I cannot imagine what that man is going through. He's been burned. He has 4th-degree burns. Do you know what that means? That means he's down to the bone. That means he has no muscle, no tissue, no nothing left on top of this. His arm and his leg have been amputated. His ear fell off. Oh my God, and I feel like, and I have the nerve to complain. Talk about life-changing events. He's 26 years old. And they still don't know whether he's going to live or not. Back in the day, you couldn't be burned over that percentage of your body and still live. I don't know what else I can tell you except ban fracking now. You know, just keep it going. You know, you gotta prevent them from doing